Welcome in, everybody. Joe Quills here with you on this Thursday night. Another edition of the Joe Quills Show. Welcome in. Let me hide that here for you. Got a fun night here. Going to talk some NBA, something I don't usually talk about. The draft is over. We'll get into that. Just the one thing that occurred today. Going to talk some baseball. We have our first two All Stars. Also, some news on Shohei Ohtani. And no, he did not bet on Bronny being the 55th pick. And also an update on the Kansas City plan. Also, anything comes up between now and whenever I sign off tonight. So, hope everybody's doing well out there. Cooled off a little bit, but some people, especially New England, have gotten lost power the other night, and hopefully um, they get their electric back up and running here because it's still a little hotter here. Put on the air just for this show because it is a little hot in here, and I'm not going to take off all my clothes. Sorry, no matter how much you like me, especially if you're female. Um, but we did have some storms going through, and thankfully, we didn't get the major storms here in Philadelphia. Seemed to be Connecticut that got hit the hardest, and yeah, it was a disappointing storm on my part because I joke around to my friends, and I joke around and I tell them, "Man, I just want a power outage that hits sometime in the second half of my shift so I don't have to go down to the office. I could just sit here and do nothing and get paid for it." But, you know, but I think since I've mentioned that so many times to friends as a joke, it never happens. I did have one power outage, which was a non-storm related one last fall, and it was like 15 minutes. I was like, "Oh, come on, man!" So have to turn that off, otherwise you'll know um, who my employer is. The select few know who my employer is, and they know that I'm not going to be talking about them on my show. But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't wish the storm hits anybody, truthfully, but would be nice to get a couple hours off with pay because um, with the way that things are with our work at home program, you do have to um, go down to the office if you ever have to, which hasn't happened yet in the 4 years that I've been working from home. But you do have it is written in the language that You may have to go down there for a team building session, which we haven't done in 4 years. If we have a team building session, it's a virtual one. Um, you know, or if there's a technical issue, or some sort of issue like an electrical issue, or let's say they have to do work on this apartment and I have to vacate for the day. I have to go downtown, which really sucks. But that's times when I would have to go down there, and if it happens to be on a Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, or when I add Wednesdays, probably in a couple of weeks. If not then, by then probably in August, I would probably have to. Um, I probably have to plan like a 9:30 start, or if I start at 9, I might have to start where I'm actually beginning the show talking on my phone or something. I don't know. Yeah, something I'd have to figure out, and hopefully that's not a bridge I have to cross. But um, but yeah, so just to let you guys know, um, you know, um, I still work from home, and occasionally we get these glitches, and thankfully, knock on wood, even though I was rooting for it, the storms didn't come till later after I was done work. So, but but one thing that did affect is my article for this morning. So I wrote the article last night, and I gave the warning in the article because um, you had 9 horses in the race. You had one horse that was main track only. And just to let you guys know, Phillies just lost to the Marlins 7-4, and looks like Bryce Harper tweaked his hamstring there at the end. I'm hoping that's a cramp, but um, we'll find out over that probably later tonight or tomorrow. But weird play to end the game. But the way he's walking, it looked like it was probably a hamstring. And the game's over, so he's going right back to the locker room anyway. So, but they're reviewing the play here because I don't know what he did. It may be his left knee. Nah, it's a hamstring. He grabbed it. So that's something we'll have to keep an eye out on over the next couple of days. Probably sit on the IL for a couple of weeks. But anyways, so back to what I was saying about the article here. I wrote the article up last night, and I did give the caveat, and I said, you got 9 horses, you got one horse who's main track only, and it I think it was a filly mare race. So if that horse runs, then it's got an insane advantage because all these horses run exclusively on the turf. So as a result, I looked this morning, and the race was off the turf, and all horses but one that were in the main body of the field were scratched. So you had a match race between the heavy favorite, who was main track only, and this lone turf horse that was the sacrificial lamb. And I posted right away once it was official. Hey guys, here's the article, but I'm not taking the win on this. I'll write up another race where my horse lost, um, but seriously, um, I would say, well, the good thing is since I'm posting my articles now, I have the power of posting a second article where one day last month when Horseshoe Indy canceled their card, I didn't have access to the program that we use. So as a result, I could not use a backup race. So we used a backup race today, just didn't win. So the one thing I would say to you guys is if you're watching, if you read my articles on Bleacher Brothers, um, I'll try to let you know on Twitter that be on the lookout for an additional race, and then I'll tweet it out when I get a chance. And we did tweet it out about 3:45 today when I got back from the store when I got lunch. But um, but yeah, it's a it was just something that happens from time to time, and you know I just didn't know how much rain they had up there in New York, but I knew it was enough that you could consider it because even though it was so insanely dry here over the last couple of weeks, but it was enough rain that they said, okay, well, we're saving this for the weekend. We're not going to run on the turf today. And tomorrow's race is a turf race at Aqueduct as well, and that may go off too. But we'll see what happens with that. But so we had we had that for the first time where I came up with a backup race. So, and I encourage you to follow me on Twitter at QUills. Also, my Twitch is the same. My YouTube is the same. And, we're here every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I'll be adding Wednesdays in a couple of weeks, and we'll have some fun here. So, um, and forgive me, I'm hot. So, and I do have the air on. I put the air back on tonight. Um, so let's get to it here. And Bronny got drafted, to no surprise, by the Lakers. And I would like to congratulate the Philadelphia 76ers because we won't have to deal with LeBron James here in this town. Because I think I think what's going to happen here, I think LeBron will opt out. And I think that he's going to sign a 3-year deal for, I think it's 161. It's in the article here in a second. But Bronny got selected by the Lakers with the 55th pick in the draft. And there's never been a father-son duo playing in the NBA at the same time. And they're going to be on the same team this year, possibly. And I say possibly because we may see Bronny, at least for part of the season, play at their G League team, wherever that is. But I think that's what's going to happen with him. And, in a way, even though I didn't have the draft on today because, I'm not sure I'd like this 2 days, a day around for the 2 rounds of the draft, but and especially at 4:00 in the afternoon for the round 2. But then again, it might have been forced into a 4:00 start because the NHL awards came on at 7 on ESPN. I'm just wondering, is that going to be the norm where it's 4:00, or is it just because the NHL award show? But either way, we did have the second round. France must have some really good basketball players coming up through the system because they went 1-2 this year. But what I'm going to talk about is Bronny, and as much as I criticize LeBron, I criticize the decision of him going pro. Because I think he would have been better suited for another year Now, the one thing is, if he develops on the Lakers' dime, he will get to that second contract quicker. And that's the case with football and with basketball. You're slotted into a pay scale. And, what the 55th pick in the draft will make this year, I don't know. But I really think, you know, they're not going to cut him. We know that. You know, if you cut his son, you know, I guarantee you LeBron will be to the media saying, trade me right F it now, just like in the movie Slapshot. But we know he's not. We know he's not going to get cut. And also now, I mean, over the last 5, 10 years, since we had the G League, not G League, that horrible movie with Jennifer Lopez, um, you can develop your skills as a pro, especially with all the time that you lost because of the cardiac arrest situation that he had last summer. And they're going to be the first father and son in the league and also on the same team. Um, the James family received the news while gathered together at an intimate dinner party in New York, sources told ESPN. Um, LeBron's mother, Gloria, his wife, Savannah, and her parents attended along with Bronny's closest friends and confidants. So they had a big party there in New York. Um, After the Lakers made their decision, LeBron had a champagne toast to commemorate the occasion, and a source told ESPN that he was very emotional considering the weight of the moment. And it's the one thing he wanted. He said it when he went to LA. I'm hoping I get to play with Bronny, and he's going to be doing that. Now, how many games they actually play on the court at the same time, I'm not sure. Because I mean, me personally, even though there could be development between July and October. Now, one thing you have is you have father the son coaching, which is also going to be peer to peer since they're on the same team. You have that. And also, you got one of the top shooters in JJ Redick. So now, granted, Redick has to handle the whole team, but he will have time to talk to him, even though he's got to manage everybody who's on the team right now. He's got to start managing the plan for the summer league, or at least we think he will. And the reason why I say it like that is because we all joke around. We say, "Oh, it's Bronny's the coach, Bronny's the GM, or LeBron is the coach, and all that." So, um, but I don't think we're going to see that much of Bronny in the NBA as of right now. And I'm sure somebody's going to use it against me later on. Kind of like the story I tell many times where I said, um, back when AD Reed got fired here in Philly, I said, well, what does he have to coach? What does the team result have to be for him to be fired? I said, what, 4 wins, 5 wins? And of course I get, oh, you got AD Reed fired. I'm like, I didn't do shit, buddy. It was just a speculation thing. I wasn't trying to fire Andy Reid when he was here in Philly. Now, granted, I was here to. Now, I was always trying to fire Charlie Manuel, who's a village idiot, in my opinion. But, you know, I just think that when you look at everything here, JJ Redick goes from assistant coach on a fourth grade team to coaching the Lakers. Now, granted, you got to understand as well, he's also working for ESPN. So while he's working, so you look at that stat and you laugh, even though it is worth laughing at that he goes from a fourth grade team to the Lakers. JJ Redick, that was just a side volunteer job. So you don't have that too often to begin with. And then on top of that, you have a guy going right from ESPN. So, you can say what you want. Um, but I think that he's smarter than what you may think at times. Um, I think being under Coach Krzyzewski at Duke and being a Duke alum, I guarantee you that he probably talks to Coach K every once in a while. I wouldn't be surprised at that. And I mean, Coach K is retired. I mean, he's doing his show on XM radio. He's doing this, he's doing that. He's consulting the current coach, John Shire, but he's not doing any more coaching. He has all the things he's doing right now, but he's not doing anything that is coaching related. He's done coaching. He's not going back. I mean, he's what, 76, 77, something like that. Some coaches want to stay, some don't. And, you could say it's NIL. You could just say it's old age. It could be a combination of the two. But, JJ Redick could teach Bronny to shoot a little bit more. But is it going to be stepping on LeBron's toes because that's his son or not? So you may have some issues there. But the one thing I was hoping when the second round was coming on, and I didn't watch it, one thing I hoped for was, 52, 53, 54. Somebody took Bronny just to mess around with the Lakers, and unfortunately it didn't happen. But, it happens. But I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. Um, when you get into that point of the draft where it's like your final 3, 4, 5 picks overall in the draft, you take flyers. You know, but I really think that Bronny probably needed another year, and he's probably going to get it in the G League. He's going to have good coaching in the NBA. Now, we'll see how good JJ Redick is at leading a team with a superstar who is called the de facto GM, the de facto coach, and all that. But you do have something that may not happen again in the NBA where a father and son are in the league at the same time or even on the same team. But it should be interesting, and I'm just wondering if maybe there's going to be some stepping on toes or not. But but LeBron's been in the league 20 years. I think I wonder if he will. I wonder if he will feel like toes are being stepped on because somebody else is telling him about shooting or not. But that just may be me saying because LeBron is the de facto coach and GM and all that. But there was an interesting video that I saw this morning when I had my first hour just laying in bed, catching up on things, seeing if there's anything worthy of reading while I was in my room um, or anything like that. So I look, nothing in my email. Actually, there was one thing I got to respond to, but it's not related to the podcast. Um, nothing really worth opening. Nothing worth, just taking anything like that. But somebody created a video, and it's the final play of the game for the Lakers. And I think Bronny's on the court with LeBron. I'm not sure. I know LeBron is. I know AD is. Um, but you do have you do have the you have them doing the final play, and running from the bench is JJ Redick. Hops on the field, hops on the court, one dribble, fires, makes a 3-pointer at the buzzer. But for those that made that video, that was a backcourt violation. Or wait, well, it could have been a backcourt violation because the ball's on the front court, but he's still behind the line. I think you have to be totally behind the half court stripe to be okay with that. It's that gray area thing where it's like, okay, it's a backcourt violation or not, but they changed the rules a couple years ago where you can throw it in the backcourt if you have to. But um, it's one of those gray area plays where it's like, is that backcourt violation or not? But you know that was a funny video I saw, and I guarantee if you search it, you'll probably find it. It looks like it was an NBA 2K24 type video, but um, now Rob Pelinka did say about this pick. In the history of the NBA, there's never been a father and son that have shared an NBA court together, and that feels like something could be magical. We know and have to respect, the course, that LeBron has a decision on his opt out. But if it worked out that he was on our team next season, NBA history could be made, and NBA history should be made in a Lakers uniform. Well, I think he's going to opt out. But he's going to opt out so that he can get more money from the Lakers. That's what he's going to do. And I'm sure people in Philadelphia will be like, we're going to get LeBron. We're going to get LeBron. He is not going anywhere. Trust me, he is not going anywhere. Kind of like how I'm not going anywhere from this apartment the rest of the night. LeBron is staying in LA. I think the opt out was now just because does LeBron have to go to another team because Bronny got picked up by somebody? Well, he doesn't have to worry about that. I think he's going to get more money. I think he's going to opt out for that sole reason. And you're going to see LeBron with you here in a Lakers uniform with his son Bronny. Now, my question is, because they did Photoshop a jersey on Bronny and he was wearing 0. Is that what they're planning for him, or is that just because we don't know what number, we're just going to put something in there generic just for the hell of it? But Bronny does have a ton of work to do, a ton to work on, and maybe it was just like the whole season was a wash, because it just seemed like the whole team was a rudderless ship last year because the head coach bailed. Bronny opted out. And I figured Bronny would may follow the head coach, but he didn't. He went pro. Um, but he only averaged 4.8 points, 2 point rebounds, and 2.1 assists in 19.4 minutes per game in his lone season at USC. You know he got drafted because of the name in the family. He did not get drafted because of his prowess on the college court. Now, you can say, um, and I didn't watch any USC games this year. One, because they were usually late at night, and a lot of times it was because I just didn't realize it was on, if it was on. But I didn't see how effective Bronny was on the court. And, I would need more of a basketball expert to tell me how they felt he played in college. Because you never know. He might have been, even though he was cleared um, after recovering from a cardiac arrest episode that required surgery to treat a congenital heart defect. You know, you never know. Could there have been something in the back of his head that, hey, this may happen again? I don't know. But of course, and this is the first time I've seen the words congenital heart defect in an article. Now, granted, it's probably been in articles since last summer when the episode occurred. But the one thing and I'm not going into politics here, so don't even start with this because, I know for a fact I'm going up against the presidential debate tonight. I forgot the DVR so I can laugh at all the bullshit that's going on there. But seriously, um, some people's, some of the people on the one side will say, "Oh, it's because he got the jab." Get the fuck out of here. Because when I look at it, I'm not looking. Is it this? Is it that? I said from the very beginning, there's probably a congenital defect, and there were a couple different articles I saw over time that said that these cardiac arrest episodes have occurred in sports long before COVID. It's just that nobody believes me. And I probably now won't be able to find the article. I mean, it'll probably take me like 6 to 8 hours to find that article or something similar that'll show this happened in 1984, this happened in 1990. And the only basketball one I could come up with for cardiac arrest was Hank Gathers, and he had a heart condition. He refused to stay on the bench. He went back on the court. He was reducing his medicine, and boom, it happened again. But the one thing is, of course, when you have an episode like this, and I'm sure even for those that did not have a cardiac arrest episode in college, I guarantee that they've gone through this NBA Fitness to Play panel that Bronny went through. I'm sure they did for the combine. It's probably the same as having to do the Wonderlic test when you're at the NFL draft combine. So now they say that his stock did improve in Chicago during the combine, where he tested well in agility drills and finished as one of the top performers in the 3-point shooting drills. So I don't know if they actually, you know, I don't know if that actually means anything. Is this like the three cone drill in the NFL, where it's like, why are you doing that? Um, but gotta getting alert here. Strong possibility of significant decrease in the quality or complete loss of video. I'm tethered to my phone. Yeah, I could see that. I could see it right now on my screen, and going to work through this here. Hopefully, you'll still be able to hear me. Um, Forgive me. I'm just looking at a couple different things here, but um, I'm just peeking in my router there. But you know, we'll see what happens with him. Maybe he does surprise us, and maybe he falls flat on his face. Because I'll tell you what, there have been many NBA players who have fallen flat on their face. I don't care who. I don't care who you say it is. So, um, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised if he um, plays well and makes the team. I wouldn't be surprised if he's spending most of the year in the G League. So, nothing will surprise me. And but we do have the father son combination here now. LeBron has until Saturday to opt into his final year at $51 million. Um, and the Lakers are willing to offer a max 3-year, $162 million deal he is eligible for to keep him with the franchise. Now, I personally think he opts out so he can sign the 3-year deal, but that's just me. Um, Now, Antonio Davis said about Bronny, he feels that he's a very good defensive player. One thing I know about Bronny from what I've seen and what I heard, he wants to create his own path and he doesn't want to be, even though he is LeBron's son, he doesn't want to be seen as that. But he is going to be seen as LeBron's son here. So um, forgive me, I have to rub my eye there. But it's just an interesting thing there, and I'm hoping, you hope the kid does well, but I'm not rooting against him. I'm rooting against his father, but whatever. And it's in jest that I root against him, but whatever. So, we had the first father and son combo in the NBA. If you remember, we had a father and son combo in Major League Baseball with the Griffeys. That was in the early '90s, and there may have been one or two others. I don't know any others off the top of my head. I mean, there was the Howes, but Gordy was like 105 when he played with Mark and his other son. But sorry about that. But Ken Griffey Jr. was 5 times the leading vote getter in the All Star game, and that's why. Sorry about that. As I seg into the um, MLB All Star game, we have our first 2 All Stars. Aaron Judge of the Yankees and Bryce Harper of the Phillies were the leading vote getters in Phase 1 of the MLB All Star vote. So they're both going to start. Bryce Harper is now in question because he tweaked his hamstring at the very least at the end of the game tonight. So And you can't fault Harper for that because even at 7-4, he is and 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. He's still hustling down the first base bag, and you know it, those things happen from time to time, plain and simple. But Aaron Judge and Bryce Harper were elected to start as being the top vote getter in the American and National Leagues. Judge led the majors with a 3.4 million votes in the first round of fan balloting. He picked for the sixth start in his career in 7 All-Star games, though he missed last year because of a sprained right big toe. Judge became the 11th player to lead the majors in votes on multiple occasions since fan balloting resumed in the 70s. Ken Griffey, Rod Carew, he converted, Ichiro Suzuki, and a plethora of others here that were mostly Hall of Famers. Harper topped the NL with 3.27 million votes. It's his 8th All-Star game, 7th as a starter. His previous All-Star appearances came as an outfield and designated hitter. Now, this is a rule change that came into play in 2022. It gives the starting spots to the top vote getter in each league in the first phase of the voting, and they have 2 finalists at every position advancing to the second phase, which runs from noon on Sunday to noon on the 30th. So, actually, that makes no sense because Sunday is the 30th. So there is a window that you would vote for these all stars. I just don't know when. So, and we have a question here from Joey Poon here, and I apologize for not seeing that right away. Who's better, David Wright or Freddie Galvis? Come on, man. I've never seen Freddie Galvis on a meme like David Wright was. It must be September in Queens, and he's trying to catch this foul ball. No, but seriously, that's David Wright, no doubt about it. No doubt. And also, David Wright never got popped for steroids. Freddie Galvis did. And Enser, and I missed this. Randy Johnson struck out 10 pairs of fathers and sons. Yeah, and he probably banged 10 of their wives, too. Barry Bonds, the greatest of all time. He could have been if he wasn't juicing. But, he had a Hall of Fame career before he started taking the juice. David Ross or Chooch. Top 5. Let's see. Sil Campusano, Buddy Biancalana, Mark Resolanik. I know. Who the F are those guys? But seriously, Cheech or Chong. Man, that's trying to choose between Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg. See what I did there? But but seriously, I mean, to choose top five is hard, and that's what she said. Um, the better role model, Ray Rice or Michael Vick? I would say Michael Vick because Michael Vick went to schools in Philly to warn kids about dog fighting. You know, Ray Rice never really did anything after he punched his then girlfriend or fiance. They're still married, but um, I but and the thing is, they're probably doing good things in the community. Kind of like Don Tollison back in the day, doing good things in the community, and then he ends up in jail. But you know, Ray Rice probably did good things in the community. You know, but you know, but the thing is, don't do that stuff. Don't do the community work as a stage thing in front of cameras because that's the last thing I want to see is somebody make it look like you're doing it for the cameras. If you're going to do it in front of the cameras, get out. But um, why does 13% of population commit 50% of the violent crimes? Desperation, poverty, the thrill of getting away with something. And the one thing I would say about that as well, that's just reported crimes. I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of crimes across the country that are not reported. And I'm not talking about, you know, a simple punch in the face or anything like that. I'm talking about, major crimes, murders and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if there was um, nothing really that went against the major crimes that would get you in jail for years and years and years. Even with that clown, Larry Krasner is the DA in this city. But I'm just waiting for the next comment here before I go on here. Um, so going back here to uh, the All Star Game vote here. You got six players each from the Baltimore Orioles and the Philadelphia Phillies advancing to the second stage, obviously, because both teams are at the top of the list in the MLB standings if you combine everything together. Um, and one person I'm going to be talking about, Shohei Ohtani, he got um, the top designated hitter spot. His position will be up against Kyle Schwarber. Ohtani's going to win that. Come on. But, there were a couple of last minute moves that knocked people out of the top two, but, they'll probably get in anyway. Um, but we'll see. So, and, the thing is with somebody asking a question like this, even if I'm joking around, I'm still going to answer that question because I'm that type of person. And maybe my answer is dead on. Maybe it's like so far out in left field that you're going to um, say, "What the hell is he talking about?" That's okay. You know, and that's the thing with this show. You can turn it into, you know, let's see what Joe says. Let's see what Joe does next. Let's see how we can um, distract him, derail him, whatever. But That's the fun thing about this show, especially this phase of the show. So, um, and I know if one of my mods was here tonight, I would tell them, no, don't block them, because it's I have no problem with that, because I don't think they're trolls. I just think they're doing some of the shit that I do in other people's streams, where I come up with these quick one liners where it's like, where the hell did that come from? You know, so I have no problem with that. And, we have fun here. You know, long time fan here. Uh, well, you're going to need a fan because it is hot here. Uh, but seriously, um, you know, just having fun here, and I have no clue who this person is. You know, I have an idea, but it's okay. Um, but I'm not going to say who it is anyway. And they say keep up the great content. So, um, you know, gives me an idea, but I'll let them have their fun. Especially considering it is 10 o'clock at night, and I'm just peeking in here. Whoops. I try to keep the phone away from me as much as possible. But if I see the phone ringing, I recognize the number, I might have to pick up. But I don't really have anything that really um, causes me to take a 2 minute break or anything like that. But when we get to Wednesdays and we have 4 days a week, we'll probably have a couple of hard outs. I said hard. Uh, you know, I saw somebody got arrested this week. Now I don't know, and this is the great thing about my show. I go off on these tangents. I go off on tangent on top of tangents, and um, I don't know if it was recent or not, but I saw it within the last week or two. Somebody got arrested for spray painting Beavis from Beavis and Butthead on walls and everything like that. I wish I had kept that story, or if it was something I saw on the internet, I wish I saved the link, because I could have used that for the stupid stuff that I saw segment that I bring every once in a while. And that may be something that is an actual segment when we go to 4 nights a week. Um, you know, it's those stupid things when it's like, oh God, he wants to talk about this sporting topic, something like that. You know, you just sometimes you have something like that, and it's like, whoa, where did that come from? And that's what I want to do. A little bit of sports, a little bit of comic relief, even though I'm not going to be comic as in, you know, two guys walk into a bar, nothing like that. Just a quick one-liner thing, a quick funny story that I'm going to share with you guys. That's what I want to do. But you know, but the one thing I would say is, I am I am going to keep some things, going to have some additional segments, some different things, just to have fun with you guys. That's what it's about. So, so I think Joey Poon disappeared on us, and that's fine. You know, It's kind of like a robot after sex, he nuts and bolts. But so back onto what we were talking about here, and as you know, those that watch the show live or watch it after the fact, you do have the topics on the screen here, and going to talk about Shohei Ohtani, and we know he's going to be in the All Star game. Now, if it's as a starter or a bench guy, we'll find out. But I think that he wins the DH over Kyle Schwarber, and probably if Kyle Schwarber goes onto onto the IL because he pulled a groin his own, even if Schwarber were to get the win somehow, I guarantee you that he will be named the starter if Schwarber misses time and misses the All Star game. I'm sure that'll probably happen. But I think Shohei Ohtani does win the DH starting nod in the phase two of this vote. Now, but Shohei Ohtani's potential participation in the Home Run Derby is an annual topic of discussion as we head towards the All Star break. LA Dodgers manager Dave Roberts isn't so sure that would be a good idea this season. And I don't think it is either. Why is that? Remember he had Tommy John surgery in the offseason? Roberts told reporters on Wednesday he would probably not want Ohtani to compete in the Derby because of the physical exertion of the event, which will require Ohtani to endure rounds and rounds of swings. And rightfully so. Now, being on the East Coast and not going to any Dodger games, whether it's a single game or having a partial ticket plan or full season ticket plan, well, I don't know. But I don't know what he does leading up to a game in terms of batting practice. Does he take any swings? Does he take swings out on the field? Is he limited by the number of swings? Or does he just warm up in the cage underneath the stadium? We don't know. At least I don't know because I'm not in LA, I'm in Philly. But Roberts did express concern that the workout would present a risk because of Ohtani's rehab from Tommy John surgery. And rightfully so. I would be trying to keep him from doing something to hurt that elbow or hurting something because the wrist bone's connected to the arm bone, forearm bone, or whatever. You get the idea. Now Roberts did say, "Hey, it is for him to be in the home run derby. Be great for baseball, and rightfully so. I mean, you get the guy who hits home runs like a machine. Now, granted, I would be the type of manager where I would fuck around with Ohtani a little bit because the ball comes off his bat differently. It just sounds so much different for whatever reason. I would be the type of manager where I would mess with Shohei Ohtani and I'd mess with the Dodgers and say, hey, confiscate that bat. Now, granted, from what we know, Shohei Ohtani is an upstanding citizen. He didn't bet on baseball, even though we joked around that he did. But you just wonder if you do something like that, are you going to be messing? Are you, what's that saying? Mess with the bull, get the horns, or something like that. Is that what might happen if you do that? I mean, I'm just surprised nobody has said, hey, check that bat, confiscate it. Who was it? Albert Bell that had his bat confiscated by umpires because they thought it was corked. Here it was corked, and I think it was Jason Grimsley, if I'm pulling a name out of my ass. Um, he went through the heating vents to get the bat from the umpires, knowing that it was a cork bat, if I'm correct. And and this is why you need to be on my Twitch page and or on my YouTube page at Joe Quills, because you could tell me, "Damn, Joe, you're right," or "No, you are way off on that." And you know what? I'm okay with being wrong. I mean, I'm wrong probably 80% of the time on my horse racing articles, but you need 20% to be a handicapper. But if I'm pulling out the right names there, then I don't know where it came from. Kind of like this one time we were sitting at Finnegan's Wake for karaoke night, and you know, girl comes up to me, and I think I'm on my third beer already because it was a long day at work. But not as stressful as it is now with you know personal opinions of people and stuff like that. But you know, what's the name of that song? Blah blah blah. Toby Keith. I love this bar. Never heard the song before, other than in passing. I'm not really a country music guy. I do have country music in my library, but it's not purposeful. It isn't like, oh, I love this artist or anything like that. But you do have, and I grabbed the wrong remote here. Hold on. Just changing the channel here because the baseball game's over. But sometimes I pull stuff out of my ass, and I'm even surprised I pull. Um, some of the things that I pull, I'm just amazed with sometimes. Um, but seriously, um, I wouldn't. I mean, me personally, I would not put him in the home run derby. I think it's too much of a risk, especially when you have a team like the Dodgers who are all in yet again this year to win a World Series, even though they tend to choke in the postseason. Um, but I would say, you know what, you're 9 months removed, 10 months removed from surgery. You're purposely not throwing right now. Let's play it safe here, because if you get to the finals, you're going to be swinging 100, 150, 200 times. And that's way too much for somebody that's coming off an injury. And like I said, I don't know what his practice is with leading up to a game in terms of how many swings he takes. But I would definitely say there's more important things than home run derby. Now, I don't know if there's anything in his contract, performance bonuses, you know, because I think you win $1 million if you win a home run derby. That's why Pete Alonso won it like 5 times. By the way, Pete Alonso, the most punchable face in baseball. I'm not saying that because he's a Mets fan. If he was he's on the Mets. I'm saying it because even if he was on the Phillies, I'd be calling him the most punchable face in baseball. But well, Roberts did say The other side of it, on the manager Dodger side of it, you're trying to be more cautious, um, and appreciating the fact that there's a lot more swings, higher intensity, going through the rehab process with this elbow. So you got to look at both sides. Yeah, it's good for baseball, but you got to look long term. The short term of having, him in the home run derby is great because it gets instant eyes there. And where's he going to hit the ball at Globe Life? Where's that ball going to land? Who's going to get sculled? But I would definitely say the best thing for him is to skip it. Take a couple of bats in the game. And then, if Kyle Schwarber's out for a couple of weeks, whoever replaces him, or actually, all you have to do is you can put any player as a designated hitter after he hits a couple of times. You could put, I don't know, whoever the all-star for the Miami Marlins, whoever you have for the all-star for their team, because remember, every team's got to be represented. You could put the Marlins representative into the game as a designated hitter. And you can say, hey, he played in the game, because managers are trying to get everybody in the game, even the pitchers, even though there'll be some pitchers that will be pitching the Sunday before the All-Star game and they end up being ineligible. It sucks for them because guess what? Some of them probably do want to pitch. Probably some of them don't. And remember, this is the first time that you have an All-Star game in Arlington, because they did not have it at Globe Life. They didn't have it at Arlington Stadium because it was just too damn hot down there that time of the year. At least with this stadium, you can close the roof. But if you remember, he did have that surgery in September last year. So we're at 9 months right now. The baby's about to come out. All right, I'm joking around. But he's limited to hitting this season. And you may see him in August, in September, throwing the ball every once in a while. And that's fine, because he may be at the point with his rehab that he will, at the very least, throw the ball around a little bit to begin the throwing portion of the rehab. And we saw from Bryce Harper from 2 years ago, when he blew out his elbow, and thank God for the designated hitter being in the National League for the first time. He ruined what I thought that the Phillies should do for the designated hitter. And the reason why I hate the designated hitter is because, you can hide a player and just use them to hit. Now, for the Phillies, it helped them, but it also hurt them, because the one good thing about the designated hitter, if you got a team of multiple stars and you don't want to take them out of the lineup, you can rotate that designated hitter position, which we have not seen done, because as we saw tonight with the Phillies game, Kyle Schwarber played left field, and there was one play in the later portion of the game. Now, granted, Brandon Marsh would have never gotten it either, but it's probably the play where he pulled his groin his own. He had a opportunity to, and I think we're okay with Schwarber in left field every once in a while. And you know what? He probably would have pulled his groin rounding first, heading to second later in the game or tomorrow. Things strain and pull and tear when you least expect it. Trust me, I know that from first experience from tearing my calf muscle twice. But in terms of Otani, he's 9 months removed right now. You're probably going to see him throwing it a little bit, but he's not going to be throwing this year, at least off a mound. You got to go through the process. I probably shouldn't say the process in a city where we took tanking to a new level. But um, but Otani did say following Tuesday night's game that he has feelings of wanting to do it, but would need the approval of his doctors and trainers as well as the team. So it isn't like he's going to go. At least we don't think he's going to go against medical advice, and that's good. I think he knows that. I think he knows from being in the contest a couple of years ago. And I imagine even if he was never in the home run derby and he's sitting there watching it with the American League at the time because he was with the Angels, I guarantee you he was sitting there watching. He sees how much of a toll it takes on players that you're swinging constantly. You're swinging as hard as you can, as fast as you can, little to no break between pitches just to get as many home runs as possible over the fence. Now, Roberts did say that he and Otani would have a discussion about the Derby and how it might affect his rehab. He acknowledged that he would ultimately defer to Otani. Now, Roberts did say, I don't ever want to be the guy that says you can't do it because I wouldn't want to have somebody tell me I couldn't do it. And, I mean, even though Dave Roberts was never a home run hitter, he gets the players. But I would say this. Now, I don't care if you're making league minimum $2 million a year, which Otani is making this year, even though his contract is mostly deferred anyway. But Roberts does acknowledge that the surgery adds a different component. And I think if he did not hurt his shoulder, if he did not hurt his elbow last year, I guarantee you he's in that home run derby. I guarantee you. But I guarantee you, because of that elbow injury, that's going to take a lot of soul searching, a lot of advice from doctors and everything like that, because you got him for 10 years. 10 years, $700 million. Now, granted, that other $680 million or whatever it is deferred. So you have to realize that even though it's a great thing, and thankfully, we have not had a situation where a player got hurt during the home run derby. Somebody pulls their side, gets an oblique injury. Then, oh my God, none of the superstars will want to play in the home run derby. You'll have Whit Merrifield and um, uh, Johan Rojas, and you'll have a guy from AAA there, just like Max McClung was doing the slam dunk championship for last 2 years. Thankfully, nobody's got hurt in these games. Now, you might have had a kid get conked in the head with a fly ball because he wasn't paying attention, but as Gritty would say, F them kids. But, so yeah, but I would definitely, I don't expect them to hit in the home run derby, but, I think they're going to consider it, and they'll make the right decision. And, since the Phillies are the top team in the National League, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Phillies fans that'll say, go in the home run derby. Maybe you get injured. Now, I'm sure San Francisco fans will pull the same thing because San Francisco is the main rival for the Dodgers. But I would not be surprised if we hear Ohtani say that he's not going to do it because of his elbow. And that is the right decision, in my opinion. You can always be in the home run derby next year, wherever it's at. I think it's Atlanta next year. Let me double check that here for you. And you definitely want to be in the 2026 MLB All-Star Game Home Run Derby, because the 2026 one is here in Philadelphia. Yes, 2025 is in Atlanta, and that's a payback for when they pulled the All-Star Game in 2021, I think it was. They pulled that because of all the political BS that was going on. But I would definitely say keep an eye on that. And that's probably the Home Run Derby that Monday night. We probably would have a watch along, and it may be exclusive to Twitch. I don't know. But whatever we do, always follow me on Twitter at QUills. Threads is the same thing. YouTube is the same thing. Everything I have, I think, is QUills now. So if you look at the one, you'll see 18 different things with my name on it. So, but I'm always thinking of new ideas. So, and before we get to this final story, I do want to give you an update for next week's schedule. Now, actually, I got two updates here. First of all, I am part of Bleacher Brothers. And if you watch the Bleacher Brothers show, I've even been on the main Bleacher Brothers show a few times talking horses. Because of our president, CEO, whatever you want, whatever title he wants, he can have. AJ Johnson. Not the AJ Johnson that was drafted in the first round of the NBA draft, even though I should have joked around with that tonight. I would say that we are going first of all, with Uncle Ernie, our unofficial horse, our adopted horse, he's running at the 9th race at Parks. And ladies and gentlemen, your boy is off on Wednesday. So, barring anything unforeseen, I will be up at Parks Racing with the Bleacher Brothers colors or Bleacher Brothers t-shirt on, and probably this Emerald Downs hat. Watching him race live. And I did talk to AJ this afternoon. And I got the alert on my phone, and within 5 minutes I emailed him. But I told him, hey, Uncle Ernie's running. He goes, $55,000 allowance race. Is that a step down? Well, the reason why he was in a $100,000 race last time out was because it was a Pennsylvania bred race. And he's going to be in the 9th race on Wednesday, which is a 7 furlong race. Now, I would prefer him at 6. It is an open race, so let's say he does win that $55,000 race. He will get 40% more of the winner's share because he's a Pennsylvania bred. And that's why his owner, Gil, runs him at Parks, because, He is a Pennsylvania bred, and he can get that extra money. So, maybe we get a little lucky and I meet up with somebody up there because I'll be up there hopefully on Wednesday. Even if it's just to get there by like 2 o'clock to walk around and you know do an IRL stream that would be exclusively for Twitch. But either way, just to give you a little bit of a heads up because he is running in the ninth race. It's a 7 furlong race. Um, and basically, this level of an allowance that he's in, and it doesn't tell me the conditions of this race yet. So I don't know if it's non-winners of this or any non-winners of this or winners of that or anything like that. Basically, it's just 9 horses in the race, and it just says $55,000 allowance, 7 furlongs for 3-year-olds and up. When we get closer to that race, when the odds are in there, I'll be able to see what those conditions are and go from there. But I admit when I play him, he loses, and when I don't play him, he wins. So I guess I'm going to be playing a different horse and hoping that he wins. We'll see. But either way, we got one more story here. And if anybody adds anything between now and then, we'll talk about that as well. Kind of like how I don't want to say disrupted. But I'm open to talking about different things here. And if it ends up that the show ends up taking 3 hours, then it takes 3 hours. If it takes an hour and 45, it takes an hour and 45. If it takes an hour and 15, it takes an hour and 15. But just taking a look at something here because I'm prepping for the end here. And, if I can, I would like to rate out, but I don't see anybody worth rating out of the people I follow. And I prefer to keep it within that right now. Because there is strategy involved with that right now, with where I am with the followers right now. So I did give you that update. I think it was last week. Kansas is getting involved to try to lure the Chiefs and the Royals across the state line to Kansas. Well, Missouri Governor Mike Parsons said Thursday that he expects the state to put together an aid plan by the end of the year to try to keep the Chiefs and Royals from being lured across state lines to new stadiums in Texas. Now, the one reason why the state will try to fight this is because of tax revenues, payroll taxes, income coming in from the businesses and, spending money and all that other stuff. Do you want the sales taxes or do you want Kansas to get them? If you're the governor of Missouri, if you're a state legislator in Missouri, you want that money. You don't want it going across the border of Kansas. But Missouri renewed their efforts after Kansas approved the plan last week. So it was last week I talked about this. That would finance up to 70% of the cost of new stadiums, professional football and baseball teams. Governor Parsons said, we're going to make sure that we put the best business deal we can on the line. Whether it's good enough, we'll see. And Parsons said, look, I can't blame Kansas for trying. If I was probably sitting there, I'd be doing the same thing. But at the end of the day, we're going to be competitive. The only thing is, they'll still be in the Kansas City market. It's just that the taxes from the revenues that businesses will make will be in the Kansas coffers and not in the Missouri ones. That's why they want to do. That's why they're going to do what they can. Now, the Chiefs and Royals have played for over 50 years in side-by-side stadiums built in eastern Kansas City, drawing fans from both states in the split metropolitan area. Their stadium lease runs until 2031. And of course, you want to work on this now because, you don't want a situation like Oakland has where you move out, like you're going to move out after this year, and you got to play in a AAA stadium for 3 years because guess what? Vegas didn't have a major league franchise before in baseball. Yeah, and you don't have an all-purpose stadium in Vegas where you can turn Allegiant Stadium into baseball. You can't do that. It's not built that way. And, I doubt that the owner will say, "Hey, let's renovate the stadium for them." No, you're not going to do that. That's your stadium. Let them build the stadium across the street from you. But in Kansas City's case, you know, they they have about 7 years, and they're going to do what's best for everybody, for the fans, even if it means going to the Kansas side of the border. You know, you'll still be in the Kansas City market. The only difference is you're going to be on the western side of the border in Kansas as opposed to the Kansas City, Missouri side. Now, Royals owner John Sherman said the team will not play at Kauffman Stadium beyond the 2030 season. So they're honoring the lease, but they're not going to extend it. They want a new stadium. They wanted a stadium in the downtown area, but the Jackson County, Missouri voters rejected a sales tax that would have helped funded more than a $2 million downtown ballpark district for the Royals and an $800 million renovation for the Chiefs' Arrowhead Stadium. And rightfully so. I mean, a lot of people will be like, no, I don't want my taxes raised for the stadium. I'm probably not going to be in that stadium ever. I mean, some people will be thinking, oh, I'll gladly take a 1% hike in the sales tax or a tax on this particular good or something like that. But when you look at it, no. Now, the plan faced several headwinds. Some Royals fans preferred the current site. Others just plain opposed the tax. And others had concerns about the new stadium plans, which were changed just weeks ahead of the vote. If you're thinking, okay, well, this is the plan, and then all of a sudden you're telling me that you're now going with plan B or plan C or plan D, and it doesn't look as good, no, I don't blame them. I don't blame them because, I don't want new taxes. I don't like it. I don't think any of you watching will like it either. But the emergence of Kansas as an alternative raised the stakes for Missouri officials. And this is a repeated thing that happens. You're probably going to see it possibly in the next couple of years with the White Sox. Because I wouldn't be surprised if Nashville is rumored to get involved. I still think that the A's may still end up in Salt Lake City. But what happens is you leverage one site against the other, in this case, one state against the other, even though you're in the same metropolitan area, to get the greatest public subsidies for new or improved stadiums. We've seen it before. Um, I mean, not necessarily to this extent, but um, if you remember, the Eagles almost ended up in Phoenix because Leonard Toast was an alcoholic and a gambling addict. And Norman Bremen allegedly saved the day, and the city built super boxes. But you didn't have any. But you didn't have a leverage for a new stadium. You got leverage for additional revenues to come in, which led to eventually to a new stadium like 15 years later when Jeff Lurie took over. But sports teams now are pushing a new wave of stadium construction across the U.S., going beyond basic repairs to derive fresh revenues from luxury suites, dining, shopping, and other developments surrounding the stadiums. Now, for example, right now in Philadelphia, you have the three stadiums, but other than Xfinity Live there really isn't much there. There's a casino, and there's a turf club, whoop-de-doo, but there really isn't much down there. Now they're planning on something. The Flyers and the Phillies and the I believe the Eagles are involved in it too. Definitely the Phillies and the Flyers. They're going to add things to it as well. But on Tuesday, the city of Jacksonville approved the $1.25 billion stadium renovation plan for the Jaguars that splits the cost between the city and the team. Now, if that is a 50-50 split, I don't know what the percentage is. Some will still say it's too much because many economists assert that while stadiums may boost tax revenue in their immediate area, they tend to shift consumer spending away from other entertainment and seldom generate enough new economic activity to offset the public subsidies. Yeah, I can see that. Now, Governor Parsons said the Kansas City Chiefs and Royals are big business, comparing them to large companies that have received public aid, such as Boeing, Ford, and General Motors. But he added that any deal has to work out on paper where it's going to be beneficial to the taxpayers of Missouri. Now, Parson did say, I think by the end of the year, we're going to have something in place to propose for the stadiums. Now, one thing I did see here, and I'm going to double check something here as well, because I think we have a lame duck governor here. Now, he is a Republican, so obviously the whole thing with Republicans is to cut taxes. Just trying to see something here. He assumed office June 1st, 2018. So I think he is. I think he is term limited. So that's probably why it says here um, what he said. What it says here in this next paragraph. Missouri's still undefined plan likely will require legislative approval, but Parsons said he doesn't anticipate calling a special legislative session before his term ends in January. So it appears he's either A, term limited, or he chose not to run for another term. I think it's more that he's term limited because he got sworn in as governor as the previous governor resigned for whatever reason. Um, that means any plan developed by Parsons' administration in partnership with Kansas City area officials would also need the support of the next governor and a new slate of lawmakers. Now, what he could do, if he really wanted to, he could screw over the next legislature, the next legislative group that comes in. And what I mean by that is, you got mostly incumbents winning anyway, but there's always some turnover every 4 years. Um, you could definitely see him saying, "Hey, watch this. We're going to give them all the money for the stadium through this means and that means, whatever." He could do that if he wanted to. He could screw him over. But I think you have to make sure, you got to make the right decision here because, like they said, the Chiefs and the Royals are a big business, and you don't want that big business going across state lines. You would rather that have them in Missouri and some of the residents from Kansas coming to your state to be a part of that business. You don't want your Missourians, I guess you call them, you don't want them going to Kansas and having their money become part of Kansas's treasury. But now you're getting in a position where you have to make sure that franchise stays, those two franchises stay in your state and in the metro area, on your side of the metro area. So, but, you got to do what you can to keep everything the way it should be. And, I think he's going to do whatever he can to keep them in Missouri on their side of the border and not over to Kansas. But Kansas bit into the process. They put their proposal in, and we'll see if it's good enough, or it was just a leveraging ploy to keep the Chiefs and the Royals on the Missouri side of Kansas City. So, we'll see how that turns out as the two states go up against each other to host, to give the teams the money for the stadiums, whatever percentage they offer. The state of Kansas is offering 70%. Now it's just a matter of what Missouri will want to do between now and the end of their legislative session, whenever that is. But yeah. So it looks like he is term limited. So just to let you guys know, next week we're only going to have two shows. We're going to have shows on Monday and Tuesday night at 9:00. There's no show on Thursday because it's the holiday, in observance of the 4th of July. an actual holiday as opposed to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals on Monday. So, so, so we'll be here Monday and Tuesday, and I will be at Parks, hopefully on Wednesday. Knock on wood. Um, and then we will be here. Also, we'll be here on Saturday. AJ will not be here, but I do have a guest that's going to be on with us. And we are going to be going through the Churchill Downs card on Saturday. It's Stephen Foster weekend. There's 6 stakes races. I'm going to start looking over that program the night after I do my article for tomorrow for Belmont to Big A. And I'll look at that. I'll look at everything. And we'll have a plan for Saturday, even if we go 90 minutes instead of 60, because Frank is the guy's name. And he's a professional gambler. And the one thing he did say to me yesterday, um, and I think I misconstrued some of the things he said because he talked about the NHC Tour, which is a series of horse racing tournaments that get you into the national tournament where you can win like $1 million if you win the whole thing. So, um, so I think I misread that a little bit, and I'll let him know that. You know, I think I misread a little bit, but I do want to talk about the NHC tourney because I am an NHC member. I don't go into many tournaments on there. Um, I'm a cheapskate when it comes to certain things. I'm a cheapskate for myself, but I'll give you the shirt off my back. So, for me, towards myself, I'm cheap, but for somebody else, I'm not. I'm not afraid of spending that money. But, um, yeah, so um, I just got to write myself a note here later. Just let them know I misread that a little bit, but give me some thoughts on the NHC and stuff like that because I entered the free tournaments. I entered the Del Mar tourney, which is going to be in a couple of weeks. The Del Mar contest, I should say. That's on the Del Mar website. I finished in the top 50 once. Um, the Quills Picks winners article. The original plan was just to piggyback off of the races that were available through a site called sportofkings.net. Sport of Kings shut down after the Breeders' Cup last year. I actually finished I think I finished 21st in the tournament to get into the tourney for the get into the final tourney from the monthly tournaments. The October tourney, um, the October contest, I should say. I finished outside the top 50, but what happens is when you have 7 consecutive months worth of qualifiers, some handicappers are getting there are in the top 50 for the third, fourth, fifth time. And what happens is it drops down that line of demarcation. And it turned out I got in somehow. And I'm like, I got something to look at. And I actually got pretty hot on the second day of the tourney, second day of the Breeders' Cup, which was the second day of the tourney. And you have to play all 14 races on the site in order to be eligible to qualify or to be eligible to win the tourney. And I had a long shot in the turf sprint, the horse by the name of No Balls, or is it Nobles? But anyway, No Balls won at a great price. I think it was like 15-1. So that bumped me up into 21st place. I just couldn't get a rocket to the top. But, even if I didn't get that winner, um, you know, to say I was that close was pretty cool. out of like 500 or so people to get that close. Um, but yeah, it's a fun thing, and I'll have to um, tell him I misread that a little bit. We can talk about that. You know, the one thing is whether it's AJ and myself, whether it be me and Frank this Saturday, or anybody else that comes on, we'll go through a final run through of like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Um, and I'm going to nail down the races from Churchill that we'll look at because I think I'm going to have two articles on Saturday. Probably going to start working on tonight as soon as this is over. So, but I do appreciate everybody who reads my articles, whether you criticize me or actually read it. And I know most of the time the people that do criticize me, especially on my personal Facebook, which is for my friends, one guy jokes around and I just joke back at him with different things as well. So it isn't like we um, do it to because we don't like each other. We do like each other, allegedly. But, um, we just, I know it's fun. And, he cracked a joke and, you know, I cracked a joke back and, we both laughed probably. At least I think he laughed. And we go from there. So, but, that's the way it is. But, you know, I do this all for fun. And I think it keeps me sharp with horse racing. Even if I have my ups and downs like I tend to have. I mean, if you were looking at yesterday's article, I gave you a 12-1 winner. I think that was the highest odds I've given out so far. I paid $27.80 to win, so you got top dollar for that 12-1 odds. Um, and hopefully, if you played it, congratulations. And if you didn't, hopefully you didn't play today's horse because it didn't win. But Canterbury, I played it twice. I haven't done shit with them. It was a last minute change, and hopefully we don't have anything causing me to write a second article at the last minute because I have no idea where I'm going to go with it. But so that's going to be it for now, and I do appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight, mostly on X tonight. We did have Joey Poon and Enser in there. I think I know who the one is. I think I know who Joey Poon is, but you know what? Let them have their game. I don't care. Um, but whatever it is, I do appreciate everybody, whether you're making it look like you're a troll when you're really not, or you're a real person and you're just having fun with this and you're for some reason entertained by this. So I do appreciate everybody. And we'll be back Monday and Tuesday next week as we get into the month of July and we'll be halfway through the year. Where did the time go? But still don't have a witty or snappy close yet. So I'll just say thank you for joining me tonight, and we will catch you on Saturday at 10 a.m. on the Bleacher Brothers site, on the Bleacher Brothers handles, the platforms for also eligible. And we will be here on mine on Monday at 9 o'clock. Good night, everybody.